You've made your way to Progressively Older. Thanks for tuning in to Progressively Older. My name is Lincoln Eaton. You can call me Link. Today we're going to be talking about the bucket list, and we all know what that is. But is it enough? Well, maybe, maybe not. But before we get to that, I want to make a naked appeal to you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, do it now. Hit the notification bell when it comes up. We'll let you know when new things are dropping. This is a channel that's all about getting older and staying progressive as we go. If you're listening to this as a podcast, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, like it, share it with friends. Let people know that we're out here trying to grow this and become an influence in the world, and let people know that older progressives are not unicorns. We exist. So help grow this channel, be a part of it. On Wednesdays, we talk about being progressive and politics and that realm. And on Fridays, we talk about getting older. And guess what? It's Friday. I'm 63 and in okay shape. Now, not great, not horrible. I have a little bit of a gut that grew over the holidays. I can still play tennis. And ride a bike. My friend Ted, that's him. He's a year or two older than me. He just turned 65 and ran a half marathon to celebrate his birthday. Obviously, he is a ridiculous show-off, and I won't speak of him again. But our 60s clearly still have possibilities for many of us to be active and enjoy some things that may not be possible in a mere 10 or 15 years. I'm all for doing what you can to keep yourself going as you age, but no matter what you do, you will age. You can slow the process and remain physically viable longer with effort and diet, but in the end, no one gets out alive. So that brings up the idea of the bucket list. You know, the list of things you want to do or achieve before you kick the bucket. Did you know that refers to kicking the bucket out from under yourself for a self-inflicted hanging? That's just a jaunty little aside. Anyway, it may include activities you want to do, like skydiving or scuba diving or some other kind of diving. It may have places in it you want to visit that you've never found the time to explore. Maybe you want to seek out people from your past and tell them what they meant to you. It may include finishing something left undone. Oftentimes it may include things that are just complete flights of fancy. Things that you know you won't be able to get to in the time that you have left. That's okay. They're fun and it's harmless to fantasize as long as you have the awareness of what they are. But the other stuff is different. These are things that with planning, effort, and single-mindedness, you could do. You could accomplish if they're actually important to you. Some of them have a time limit on them, as they may require a physical component that you may not retain forever. Some may require resources that are limited and have to be focused, or time that you don't have but may find later when you retire. Some may need to be adapted as new realities make their original conception impossible. There are challenges to all of them, or they wouldn't have made it to the list in the first place. You would have already accomplished them. A bucket list is fine, but it isn't intended to be like the Sears catalog was at Christmas time when we were kids, the wish book, a place to go and dream and take mental ownership of things we would never have, a place to dream without expectation of fulfillment. A bucket list needs to be turned into a to-do list. Example. Little over a year ago, it occurred to me that I had always wanted to mountain bike. Riding a bike on the street was great, but there was something about the idea of being able to conquer terrain that was challenging and inhospitable on a machine powered by just my body and my will. Maybe taking jumps or navigating drops that a normal person will look at and see as insurmountable. Learning the skills that would make that a real possibility. Something I could navigate while enjoying the smell and the dappled light filtering through the canopy of an autumn wood. So I bought a bike. My adopted home of Richmond, Virginia has an amazing number of resources to make my off-road fantasy come true. Bell's Island is but one, and it has a great hodgepodge of trails carving the spit of land hovering in the middle of the James River into 100 pieces. And it has a bicycle skill park with lots of obstacles, jumps, ramps, and tracks to push the rider to higher and higher levels of achievement. It was my first stop after my purchase, and I couldn't wait to challenge myself. This was on my list, and I was about to check it off. Well, it didn't go exactly as planned.
Yeah.
My expectations quickly met the reality of my limitations, and I returned home bloody, though thankfully and miraculously unbroken. I took some significant spills that could have been far greater disasters than they turned out to be, but they were bad enough, and I felt the residual effects for the better part of 2 weeks. I didn't sell the bike. I went back. And I hurt myself again.
Oh, pump tracks are a riot. The good boys are jumping these. I'm not one of them.
Some of this was just biting off more than I could chew on the very first few bites. That is how I have learned many things in my life, just simply diving into the deep end and figuring it out from there. But lacking the skills required had consequences in this case, real danger being part of the trade-off for the thrills that I imagined awaited me. Having avoided a hospital-level event didn't obscure how close to that I had come, and I began to reevaluate what I was really trying to achieve. Some of the skill challenges I had attempted were great fun and had an acceptable amount of risk, but others were asking for trouble. I had to come to terms with some of that and reassess what was going to be possible. When I get on my bike now, I don't have the same goals I did when I got it, but I found out what was important about what I could do. I could still enjoy the woods under my own power, still take on most of the challenges I had anticipated while applying the wisdom to know the ones I should avoid. I thought I was still capable of what I could do as a kid, and though I am capable of more than I'm willing to take on right now, there's still growth possible. I can get an incredible amount of joy from the skills I do have. I don't ride in the street. I ride in places that are lovely and safe from other vehicles. I can challenge myself with the obstacles that present themselves or walk around the ones I can't handle. And all of that is something that I likely won't be able to do forever. So they are a now thing, a to-do thing. I may have left all this on my bucket list longer than I should have, but moving it to the to-do list has been a victory. Bucket lists are enormously useful. They're an exercise in examining our priorities, of discovering the things that really matter to us. I think it would be an excellent practice for kids to do as part of their curriculum, and an extraordinary record of our growth as people if we maintained the habit as an annual ritual. Equally fascinating would be a recap of what was accomplished from that list every year, what got continued, and what was determined to be ill-advised or not important. Mine today is vastly different from what I might have cobbled together 30 years ago. They would largely be documentation of two different people with some underlying familiarity. But the bucket list is just a starting point. If it has no influence on action, there was no point in starting it in the first place. There's an urgency to putting it into action, even more so as we get older, making it a to-do list that you work on today. What can you put into action? What step can you take that brings you a little closer to reducing the bucket list and creating memories? This is at the core of getting progressively older. We don't have forever, we have now. Do what you can while you can, as well as you can. And that will be more than enough. I'm Link. This has been Progressively Older.